I was on a mission to the US in 1986 with a desperation to return with the mantle of again. I had no right, I had no opportunity to meet him in my life. I sat down like you sat down. I was in the gallery in that meeting. Because that was all I went for. I couldn't tell who was on my right hand, who was on my left hand. My eyes were focused on that altar. Suddenly I saw his face changed. Real transfiguration. And turned to like a little baby. And I saw oil dripping down from his head, down his cheek to his suit. Something electric was fired into me where I sat down. I broke down into tears uncontrollably. And God said to me in the midst of the sobbing, my son David, the baton has been passed over to you. We get great rewards by heeding the warnings of scriptures. That it doesn't work for you does not mean it's not working. Just like it won't work for you because you are not on key with what's required to make it work. First, let's recognize you can never assess the grace you despise. Any grace you despise, you cannot assess. 2, the grace you don't celebrate, you cannot partake of. The grace you don't celebrate, you cannot partake of. 3, the source of the grace you don't value cannot release any virtue unto you. The source of grace you don't value cannot release any virtue unto your life. I've said over the years, without a sense of value, there will never be a flow of virtue. A sense of value is what triggers the flow of virtue. The grace you don't crave, you cannot be impacted with. That's why the prophetic mantle is not a magic wand. It requires a covenant positioning for delivery. It requires a covenant positioning for the delivery. We saw the man called Gehazi. The prophet gave him his rod. Not an handkerchief now, not a mantle. The staff of office of the prophet was given to Gehazi to go and lay on the Shunammite son that was dead. He returned and said, he waketh not. Who was Gehazi? We saw him in his true color in chapter 5. He was a man after money. His entire life is defined with grab. It won't work in his hand. A carnal man cannot receive the things of the Spirit of God because they are spiritually designed. Neither can he know them because they are spiritually designed. A natural man cannot receive the things of the Spirit of God. 1 Corinthians 2:14. So it takes spirituality. To be spiritually minded is life and peace. To be carnally minded is death. It takes spirituality. Romans 8:6. The prophetic mantle is not a ritual, but an instrument of power. We saw when Elisha returned, the mockers bowed to him and said, the spirit of Elijah doth rest upon Elisha. I was on a mission to the US in 1986 with a desperation to return with the mantle of again. I had no right, I had no opportunity to meet him in my life. I sat down like you sat down. I was in the gallery in that meeting. Because that was all I went for. I couldn't tell who was on my right hand, who was on my left hand. My eyes were focused on that altar. Suddenly I saw his face changed. Real transfiguration. And turned to like a little baby. And I saw oil dripping down from his head, down his cheek to his suit. Something electric was fired into me where I sat down. I broke down into tears uncontrollably. And God said to me in the midst of the sobbing, my son David, the baton has been passed over to you. I'm praying that somebody here will return with the baton of this commission today. It's an instrument of power. The mockers on the spot said, the spirit of Elijah was upon Elijah, and they bowed themselves to the ground. They were mocking him just a moment. You return from here, your mockers will start celebrating you. That's why prophetic mantle does not deliver just in any hand. What do I need? One, a right spirit. Psalm 55 and verse 10. Create in me a new heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Psalm 51, please, verse 10. And renew a right spirit within me. We saw a man here by name Simeon, the power of God, in Acts chapter 8, verse 19 to 21. This man was on the other side of Jordan, and after hearing the preaching of Philip, he surrendered his life to Christ. And then he said to Peter in verse 19, after he saw the Holy Ghost came upon people, he gave Peter money and said, give me these powers, that whosoever I lay my hands upon shall receive the Holy Ghost. And Peter said to him, your money perish with you. Or you think you can purchase it, give to God with money? You have no part or lot in this matter, because your spirit is not right with God. Without a right spirit, the mantle will not walk in your hand. It will never walk in your hand. Okay, let's see what they talk about. Well, I went there because they say we should come. So, but what is it now? There's nothing here. It's not hot. Without a right spirit, you're not a candidate for its manifestations. Things of the spirit require discipline for delivery. Discipline. Suffer not your mouth to cause your flesh to sin. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verse 6. Neither say that before an angel was an error. Why should God be angry with you and destroy the works of your hand? Some just destroy the works of their hands without knowing. Loose talk. Busy bodies in other men's matters. Somebody was out in town talking against Covenant University. He has no son there, he has no brother, he has nothing there. And God smote him with mouth odor, terrible mouth odor. He ran down here crying. Was not a member of the church, not even a believer. He opened his mouth, you can't move near. God just smote him. Caution. 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 15. 1 Peter 4 and verse 15. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. Study to be quiet, face your business. Our work with God is on an individual basis. God does not count on groups or public opinion in dealing with us. He deals with us as individuals. Look to Abraham, your father, and Sarah, I called him alone and I blessed him. Settled down there. Number 3, very important. Beware of scattering the flock of Christ in any way. Beware. 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 It's a hard thing for any man to kick against the pricks. Beware. You come against the church of Christ, you are broken to pieces. It comes against you, you are grinded to powder. Beware. Talking chaff on a church that you belong to. Beware. Talking down on the move of God in the church to which you belong. Beware. In any other church for that matter. Beware. Indiscipline has destroyed many destinies. Indiscipline. Nothing good can flow into your life in a church you don't believe in. So don't waste your life. You have only one life. You don't have a spare. Don't waste it.